Hey, this is Brad Tipton. If you've been wondering how to move your life from public to completely private, I want to share with you today the 4 steps to move your life from public to private. So I don't know if you're looking to be a sovereign citizen or a living man on the land or a state citizen or just completely go from public to private. Whatever it is, I'm going to give you the foundational steps, because no matter what you call yourself, no matter which process that you want to use, without the foundations, right? Without what I call the foundations, you can't build, right? You have to have a solid foundation that holds everything so that you can build on it. So I want to give you the 4 solid foundations so that whether you decide to go with a private trust, whether you decide to go sovereign, whether you decide to move your life to a state citizen, whatever it is, right? Whether you look to discharge debt, whether you're dealing with a court case, whatever it is, right? IRS or whatever it is, if you want to travel versus drive, whatever it is, you're going to need to have the foundation in place so that you can build upon that, so that you can stand, right? Because when you begin to intersect with the public on this, they're not going to be used to it. So you're going to need something, you're going to need a solid foundation to stand on so that you can speak and move. So I'm going to give you those 4. So you're going to need a pen, a paper, something like that. And if you have questions and if something's not clear, shoot me an email. I'm at bradtipton@yahoo.com, right? So thank you so much for that. Let me give you the 4 things. So if you want to move your life from public to completely private, the first thing that you're going to need to do is what I call have your identity and your position in place. You go, Brad, what does that mean, have your identity and position in place? Well, what I wrote on here, because I always write my notes to make sure that I stay on track when I'm talking with you. It means your identity and position means you better understand who you are, right? You better understand who you are, where you are, what you possess, what you can do. Like, you got to understand all these things. You got to be clear about your identity, because they have an identity that they think about you. You got to be clear about what you are, what your identity is, so that you can proceed properly. If you're confused about who you are, then give me a break. Of course, they're going to run right over you. So first thing is you have to have your identity and position. And that means you have to understand who you are before you blindly accept the role someone else assigns to you, right? They've already got a role that they want to assign to you. They've already got an all caps name, or whatever you want to call it, right? A public name, a public entity, a birth certificate. They already have an identity for you, and they're looking to move you in to that identity so that they want you to operate from that identity, what empowers them and gives them the power to hurt or harm you, right? That's just how it works. So I want you to know that you have to show up in your proper identity as the living person, as the living man, right? God created you in Genesis, right? I believe it was chapter 1, verse 26. Let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let's give them dominion. So that means you have the dominion. You have the power. You have the authority, and it's yours unless and until you abdicate it. Unless and until you do something and give it away, like sign your signature on something and give away your power, your authority, your dominion, right? So you can sign something, right? Or oath to something and give it away. Or a lot of times it's through your silence, right? In their system, their public system, it's through your silence that you give them the authority to hurt or to harm you. So number 1, you have to make sure that you understand your identity and position. Number 2, right? Hope you're writing it down. And if you're not, do it. If you have questions, let me know. You got to really understand that the entire public system is based upon contract, right? So you have to have, number 2 is contract awareness. You have to understand that. So you have to learn how signatures, right? Applications, accounts, licenses, right? And agreements may create consent and obligation, right? So it's like when you sign this license, when you take the driver's test or whatever it is, right? Or get your realtor's license, or get your broker's license, or get your hair salon license, right? Whatever it is. When you do that, you have to understand that you're saying, look, I'm abdicating and I'm giving up my rights that God gave me in Genesis 1, right? And I'm leaving from under him, and I'm coming under this new thing that's licensing me, that's powering me, that's giving me the authority to cut hair or to have a daycare center or to operate a school bus or whatever it is, right? Or whatever it is, right? And so it's important to understand that when you sign these agreements, right? When you sign these contracts, when you get these licenses, right? Open an LLC. A lot of people tell you wrongly, and you can email me if you want to, and people tell you, go get an LLC. An LLC is not going to protect you. Understand something about an LLC. Let me ask you this. Who do you have to go to get an LLC? You got to go to the government, right? So the moment that you go to the government, you're under the authority of the government, right? So that means you just gave away, right, your power, your authority, your dominion as a living man. And you decided by going and get the LLC, right, to step out from what under God did for you and step into what they're saying. And what happens is when you willfully do that, you can't say, oh, my rights. No, you gave them up. You have to learn how to not do that. And if you do come under that, because there are times where you may need to come under their public situation, you need to know how to do that properly, sign things properly, right? Endorse things properly, right? And if you're not sure how to do that, reach out to me. I'm here. Number 3, you have to really have what's called, number 3, record discipline, right? In other words, I'll put it this way. You got to start organizing your notices, right? Your deadlines, your account records, your accounting records, right? Your case papers, your receipts, and your proof before pressure escalates, right? You don't want to show up in a situation, a court, for instance, and they're looking for admissible evidence of your position, right? You're saying, hey, I've got a position here. I'm not what this plaintiff is saying that I am. I'm this, right? And they're like, what? You're like, I did this and I did that, blah, blah. They're going to say, okay, where is the proof? Where is the record? Where is the certified mail or whatever it is, right? Where is the signature on the return receipt, right? Where is the copy of the document of the notice that you sent, right? The notice of the motion, right? The notice of the request of discovery, right? You have to have this kind of stuff, right? And you can't go fumbling around, bumbling around. You have to really be disciplined in your record keeping because the entire public system, not only does it run by contract, but it's also a system of records. If you don't have what's called admissible evidence and proof of whatever position you're saying, then you look ridiculous. So you have to have number 3, which is disciplined record keeping. And number 4, you got to really understand how to do what I call lawful separation. You can't just stand up and say, oh, I'm a living man on the land. Get out of here. Or I'm a state citizen, right? You got to have a lawful separation, right? If you've moved from being one thing to being another thing, how did you do that? How did you accomplish that? What was the process? Was it legal enough to deal with the public system because they operated legal? Was it lawful enough that you can operate in the private, right? And so number 4, let me turn my phone back on. You have to have lawful separation, right? And lawful separation means you got to begin separating your private life, public dealings, records, agreements, and exposure into the proper lanes, right? You have to learn how to do that. So number 1 is you have to have your identity and position in place. Number 2, you have to have your contract awareness in place. Number 3, you have to have your record discipline in place. And number 4, you have to have what I call lawful separation, right? And so I just want you to know that those things are so important. And I'm releasing a program right now that's available right now. And I would encourage you, get it while you can, because the normal price is going to be $2,497, which is my normal fee for all of my living in the private paperwork, because it comes with all kinds of training. It comes with all kinds of videos. It comes with all kinds of checklists. It comes with a mind map. It comes with direct access to me for 90 days where you can ask me any question via email 24/7. And I don't give that access to just the regular public, because people will call me and ask me 1,000 questions without paying me. So to just talk to me by phone and just get questions like that, I will typically charge. Now, I'm letting you know that if you have questions about this thing that I'm talking about today, you're welcome to email me at bradtipton@yahoo.com. If you have questions about these 4 things that we just talked about, I'll answer that. But if you need to know a whole bunch of other stuff, my normal fee is $1,000 for 15 minutes. That's what my normal fee is. But I want you to know that with this program, and this program is called the Living in the Private Life, the Private Life Foundations Program. It's called my Private Life Foundations Program because you must have the foundational things in place. No matter what else you want to do, no matter what else you want to build, no matter all the other things you want to accomplish, you have to have the foundations in place. And there's so many different people teaching out there, saying things out there. Like one guy told me, you got to sign your name in quantum grammar. And I completely understand quantum grammar, right? And I understand. And a lot of people don't even understand how it works. Like for my signature, they were saying, and it's not even a signature, it's called an autograph. It's : Brad Edward : Tipton, period, right? That's how it would be, right? And I was just outside walking the dogs and doing some stuff. And I was thinking that I was listening to a podcast and it was saying that the Bible says that my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. That's a Bible verse. And I was just rehearsing that. But if I were to say that in quantum language, I would say for the destroy of the people is by the lack of the knowledge, right? For the destroy, and that word destroy, you can't have that DE on the front of a word, so you have to put it in brackets, right? For the destroy of the people is by the lack of the knowledge, right? And it's the same thing as, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, right? For the destroy of the people is by the lack of the knowledge. That's how you say it in quantum grammar. I was just saying that because some people say, well, I need to put my : Brad Edward : Tipton on the bottom. And somebody was like saying, no, you don't want to do that. You got to use your signature. You got to use your signature if you want to operate in public. Then another guy was saying, you got to use your signature, but you have to put on the bottom, all rights reserved, right? It's like, what? And then one guy says, no, you got to have a private trust. Another guy, oh, you got to have a foreign trust, right? It's like all this confusing information, right, is out there, right? Some people say, oh, I have the right to travel, right? But the other guy says, but I drive a truck for a living. How do you do that, right? Right? And so if you come into a courtroom talking about, I'm a living man, you're going to get slaughtered. So what this foundation's course is to give you the foundational things. But if you have questions about any of that other stuff, you got 90 days access directly to me via email 24/7 to ask me all these questions and get the real answers. I mean, I've been doing this for over 11 years, worked with over 7,000 clients. There's not many people in the industry that can boast of that. I'm not boasting. God has been good to me. But I just want you to know that most people just don't have access to over 7,000 clients that they've worked with. So I've got wisdom and knowledge every state of the union: Florida, Kentucky, Wisconsin, Illinois, California, Iowa, Oregon, Washington State, Mississippi, Michigan, right? So Alaska, Hawaii, there's no state and no people I haven't worked with. And what that means is when you talk with me, I come with such a well of knowledge, such a wealth and a depth and a breadth of knowledge that you finally get the answers that you're looking for. So that program is normally $2,497. And you can shoot me an email if that's what you want to do. And you can get private access, or you can get direct access from me for only $497. And I want you to know that when you deal with me, I do live my life in the private. So I don't have some PayPal or something that's connected to the public institutions. I use Cash App. I use Venmo. If you got a problem with that, see, those are what's called peer-to-peer transactions. Peer-to-peer. You to me to you, without the middleman of Wells Fargo or whoever in the middle. So if you got a problem with that, then I'm not the man for you, because I actually live my life in the private. I don't go dragging in U.S. Bank. I don't go dragging in, something like Chase Bank into me and your and my, right, private transaction, right? The moment I do that, I'm reaching out to the public and I'm pulling them into our situation. Now I'm opening myself up to that. I don't open myself up to stuff. You got to learn how to do that as well. How do you operate in business without opening yourself up to the harm and to the hurt, right? And those are the things. So if you're interested in that, please get it before it goes to just full price of $2,497. I want you to know I can charge those high prices because I'm the real legit deal, right? A lot of guys aren't. They talk, but they don't have 7,000 clients. They don't have 11 years in this industry. They don't actually live their lives in the private. They don't understand these 4 foundational pillars that I'm talking with you about. They don't give you the checklist. They don't give you direct access. You can't email. You can't call them. You can't connect with them, right? And so I want you to know I want to give you that. So there's a link below and you can enroll below. But again, I only use peer-to-peer transactions, and that's typically Venmo and Cash App. A lot of people who live in the private as well, they prefer to just send me the money via, what is it called? Walmart. So you can always go to Walmart and say, hey, I just want to send this money to Brad Tipton, and boom, you can do it that way. So, but email me first so that I can understand, what you're looking to do, what you're looking to accomplish, answer any questions before you start investing your money, right? So what else? That's it. So I appreciate you so much. But if you want to learn how to live your life in the private, if you want to move from the public life to the private life for real, and not just legally, but lawfully, right? That's how you connect with me, right? That's the reason to get this program. And it's called the Living in the Private Life Foundations program. So when you email me, you can put Private Life Foundations program in the subject matter, in the subject line. And I'll walk with you through that. So anyway, I appreciate you so much. If you have questions about this, email me. My email is bradtipton@yahoo.com. Now, if you want to have a whole bunch of questions about how to live private or how to set up a private trust or do I travel or do I drive, all that kind of stuff. No. That is $1,000 for 15 minutes of my time, right? But the smarter way to do that is to enroll in the program, right? So that gives you direct access to me for 90 days to get all of your questions answered. So this jumble isn't in your mind about what all these other people are talking about, right? Whether it's debt discharge or whether it's how to get a court case dismissed, all that you can talk with me about all that. Anyway, I appreciate you. God bless you. Talk to you later. Bye.